Do you ever wonder what is aseptic technique and why it is important? Well, aseptic technique is a practice used to prevent microbial contamination in sterile objects, locations, and tissues. Great, but why should one care about not introducing outside microbes? While most microbial life does not harm the human body and usually lives in symbiotic relationships with humans, some microbial life, known as pathogens, can cause diseases to humans and other life forms. Therefore, it is important to keep all cultures and organisms isolated in the intended working environment. It is also important not to introduce any unwanted microbes into the workstation, as these can skew your results by allowing the growth of unwanted organisms. Yuck. First thing we're going to do is we're going to wash our hands. We're going to be using some warm water, some soap, and scrubbing very well for at least 20 seconds. We want to make sure we get rid of all unwanted microbes. Get in between the fingers, rinse all the soap off, and then dry our hands with a paper towel. If we use a regular towel, we might reintroduce microbes. Our next step will be putting on our PPE. The first thing is put on our safety glasses and put on our gloves. These are two very important steps because we don't want to introduce any more microbes and we don't want to get any microbes on ourselves. Make sure your gloves are fitted tight and you're good to go. The next step is going to be sterilizing our workstation. I'm going to be using a 70% acetyl alcohol solution. You can also use 70% ethanol or you can use bleach. You just want to add a little bit and spread it out and let it air dry by itself. Our next step is going to be wiping down all materials we're going to be using before putting them into our workstation. So there's my ethanol cup, we're wiping down our bleach cup, and now we're going to be wiping down our little candle. So this is going to be my petri dish. As you can see, I'm wiping down it just to make sure we're not introducing any microbes into our sterile conditions. Cool. So now I have my loop and the cup of ethanol. I'm going to let it dry out by putting it across the cup. And now I'm going to bring the candle towards me. I'm going to be using the flame to get rid of any unwanted microbes on the tip of our loop. Cool. Once our loop is completely sterile, we're going to open our broth tube just a slight so we can put in the loop and get a colony, as shown here. Once we get a little colony, I'm going to place it back on top of the ethanol cup, and then I'm going to clean the tip of our broth tube before closing it. I'm going to set aside my broth tube, return the candle, and now I'm going to slightly open our petri dish and inoculate the agar. Once we have it, we're going to flip over our agar to ensure there's no more moisture that's going to affect our agar and our colonies. So I'm going to set that aside, and then once we're all done, we're going to go ahead and spray everything down with a 10% bleach solution. And again, we're going to wipe down, we're going to spread everything. Make sure we're killing anything that might have spilled from our broth tube or from our loop. Wiping everything down, making sure to get rid of all the microbes, including our cleaning supply. And lastly, we're also going to be doing this on our gloves before discarding our gloves into the trash can. And that is how you practice aseptic technique.